what's amazing is LeBron's going back to now play for a coach who's never coached in America. Isn't that amazing?
Did they?
Right, exactly. I knew you were going to ask me.
I'm trying to remember.
You don't
now,
know. Nobody knows.
I just scanned my brain
Jason,
for
who's
coaching.
the coach of the Cavaliers?
Who?
His name, I believe, I'm looking it up before I get there. I think his name is David
Blatt.
I was going to say Glatt, but it's Blatt.
Blatt.
Platt with a P?
B.
David
B
Blatt.
as in Ben.
He's been coaching in Israel.
Oh.
So, which I thought, when Gilbert did this 2 weeks ago and hired this guy, and the Warriors tried to hire him as Steve Kerr's lead assistant. Mm-hmm. So it was clear he was going to come to America. And I'm sure he's coached something here, by the way, but he's never coached, he hasn't coached college ball here, and he hasn't coached professionally here. I loved this. I don't know how good a coach this guy, he's been very successful overseas, but I love that in a game that's expanding internationally, the Cavaliers were like, I don't need to keep rehiring the retreads, or this guy knows basketball, and he speaks English. Let's go. That's all we need. But LeBron is coming to play for this guy, because this guy just signed to be the coach of the Cavaliers, and all of a sudden, he's like, oh. LeBron,
wow, this is
my job just got so much easier.
Well, now there's more pressure on Blatt, because now this is the scrutiny comes. Because of course, if they finish off these deals and they end up bringing in Kevin Love and all this, you think they had pressure in Miami to win championships before, at least from the coach, from Spoelstra's point of view. Like Spoelstra caught all kinds of hell. This guy, I mean, he may get 1 year to get it together. He gets maybe a year of flubbing. After that, it's time to make some runs.
You know, and Jason, our 13-year-old producer over here, who made a $100 bet, right?
Yeah. I have $100 on Cleveland to win the championship. This was 4 days ago I put it down, and $100 on Cleveland to win the Eastern Conference Finals.
And what odds did you get?
For the championship, it was like plus 1,800. And for the Eastern Conference, it was, I think, like plus 1,100. Don't quote me on that.
All right, so you got like 10 to 1 or 11 to 1 to
So
win
we have
the
a new
East.
Cleveland fan, at least for this season.
We got a new Cleveland fan for this season. And if you'd made the bet like 3 or 4 days earlier, you could have gotten even much bigger odds.
What's really interesting about the bet was over the past 2 days, those odds began to drop drastically. And this is before LeBron made his decision. Obviously, that broke this morning, or as we speak, really. And at one point yesterday, the Cleveland Cavaliers were the favorite to win the NBA Finals, at least on sportsbook.ag, ahead of the Heat, ahead of any other team before LeBron even made his decision, which is really what led me to believe maybe the sportsbooks know something that we don't.
The Cavaliers, well, I mean, they know that, well, yes, they knew it was a possibility, and they got to cover themselves. They don't have the information, but they got to protect themselves in case he does. So, by the way, the Cavaliers are now at 4 to 1 to win the NBA title. They are the favorites to win the NBA title. The Cleveland Cavaliers, the Heat are down to 50 to 1. The Spurs at 5 to 1. Oklahoma City 6 to 1. The Bulls at 7 to 1. And obviously these odds will change. There are a lot of players still out there who could make an impact. I don't see Houston. If Bosch goes to Houston, I would imagine that becomes a somewhat intriguing bet. So the Cavaliers, by the way, they sold $1 million worth of ticket sales on Wednesday on speculation alone. But the Cavaliers have said no season ticket increase just because they've added LeBron. LeBron though recognizes though while the Cavaliers may be the favorite to win the league, he did add this in his statement. He worked out this statement with sports writer Lee Jenkins of Sports Illustrated. Worked with him on it. He said, "I'm not promising a championship. I know how hard that is to deliver. We're not ready right now. No way."
Yeah.
Interesting. Of course, I want to win next year, but I'm realistic. It will be a long process, much longer than it was in 2010. So, by the way, like everybody's patting Jason on the back, but Jason probably just lost $200, right? I mean, there's still.
But because that's the thing too. I think it's part of what he's learned as well. He's thinking. The other part of it being the not one, not two, that count off that they did at the announcement of the Big Three. Come on. I mean, he's really good with media. He's good with how to talk to him and how to do things correctly. And he noticed those couple mistakes he made a few years ago. He's learning from, and he's thinking, in his mind, we're going to win this year. But he can't say that.
I don't need to say that.
Yeah.
Right. It doesn't matter. We can still win.
Yeah.
And that brings up a point that I made to JR earlier this morning when we were talking. I got to give LeBron a decent amount of respect, how he handles himself me and JR were talking about how LeBron is probably, if not definitely, the most spotlit athlete in the United States. I don't even know if there's any competition to that. Even during the NFL seasons, even in the off seasons, it's all about LeBron James. Yet he has been in no trouble with police, no arrests, no DUIs. He doesn't make a mockery of himself in a club. And this is a guy with a camera in his face 25 hours a day.
This is the one thing, and I know I've been hating this whole time. So okay, let me give a little.
Okay.
This is one thing I did understand. I was watching old championship runs from the Bulls, their first three-peat, then their second. And there was pieces of, you could tell there's a fatigue going on. Jordan had his core group around him most of the time. Then they brought in Rodman later, but they just got tired. And eventually they said that 2-year break that Jordan took to play baseball. Yeah, he was having issues. His father had just gotten murdered or something. So he needed a break. And then he came back and was kind of rejuvenated. They made these 4 runs for a championship. And then you get tired. I get wanting to have a change of pace, seeing a new arena, putting on a new jersey, being around new guys. And it kind of reinvigorates you. I think he was beginning to get a little tired. And it's wearing him down, and it's constant pressure. Then he's thinking in the back of his head, I promise not 7, not 8, not 9. And then also Dwayne Wade's falling apart. Everyone hates Chris Bosh for unknown reasons. I don't know why everybody hates Chris Bosh.
I don't hate Chris Bosh.
But he gets so much hate on social media. And so he's thinking, I think he needed just something different. Like sometimes you need a transfusion and get your blood pumping again. And I understand that.
So we give Jason credit for making the bets that he made, $100 on the Cavaliers. But I take, my wife hates it when I do this. But while I thought he would return to the Heat, I thought that was the most likely scenario. Last year in a video with Rick Strong, I thought that they don't discount that he could. Sometime during the season we did this. I was like, don't discount that he returns to Cleveland. It's where he's from.
You would like to see him go back to Cleveland?
Yeah, I think it's a good possibility. It's where he's from, so that matters. He'd love to win a championship there. It would be great. They'd welcome him back. That
They would welcome him back. No doubt about it.
Yeah, they'd welcome him back. The team's good,
and that's what annoys me the most about it.
Like they have Kyrie Irving. You know, if they create some flexibility, it makes some sense that he could return to Cleveland. And Rick, being Rick, was like, "You're an idiot! No way!" Like that'll get denied now, but that happened. So we have the possibility of, because the Cavaliers have all these assets. They have Kyrie, they have Andrew Wiggins, the number 1, and that's a tradable asset. Or they could let Wiggins develop and see what kind of play. This is a shutdown defender now, some say, and a guy who can score going to the hoop. His offensive game is rough, but he could accidentally get 12, 13 points and play that kind of defense.
He's going to get some opportunities with playing next to LeBron.
The flip side, if you're Minnesota and you know full well that Kevin Love leaves after this year, and you have a chance to acquire Wiggins for him, I think it's the biggest no-brainer in the world for Cleveland. You do it, and if Cleveland essentially, they'd have to match the salaries, so you'd probably lose like Anthony Bennett or Anderson Varejao. But then the salaries would match, and then Mike Miller signs, and
they'd lose Anderson Varejao.
But he's LeBron's friend, by the way, so they might have to find. So I don't know, but the fact is, you could get Kevin Love. It's not unrealistic, and all of a sudden, you have a serious team.
Shots are bright. I got a tan, killer. Try to get your